if there's something that I really, really dislike about humans, is that we have double standards. Humans have double standards. And to survive, we must have double standards. So I get why we have double standards. My problem is that we do not even realize that we have double standards. That's my problem. My problem is when we do not realize that we have double standards. Because if we don't realize that we have double standards, we're not going to be fair. Remember what I was saying on one of the videos that I uploaded recently? That people do what they want to do, and they do not do what they do not want to do. If they do something, it's because they want to do it, or, and this is important, they are forced to do it because of fear of consequences. But really, they do what they want to do. If they do something that they don't want to do, it's because they have to do it, because they're afraid of the consequences. If they don't do something, it's because they don't want to do it, or there's just no consequences. So like, I'm not going to do it. But you know what they do? They take it a step further. They try to justify what they do and what they do not do. Like, if they don't want to do something, they'll justify, right? If they want to do something, they'll come up with reasons to do it. And these reasons often have to do with right or wrong. These reasons often have to do with right or wrong. If they don't want to do something, they'll say, well, I don't want to do it because it's wrong. If they want to do something, they'll be like, well, I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. While the real reason why they do the things that they do is because they want to do these things. And the reason why they do not do what they do not want to do is because they don't want to do these things, or they're forced. Just like 50 Cent said, respect comes from admiration and fear. It's kind of like the same thing. You know, if you do something, it's because you really want to do it, you know, or you're afraid of the consequences of not doing it. When people tell me that they're doing something because it's the right thing to do, I often ask them this question: all right, what about the other things that are actually the right things to do that you're not doing? What about the other things that you know that are actually the right things to do, but you're not doing these things? If a person says, I'm not going to do something because it's wrong, I would ask them, what about the other things that you're doing that are actually wrong? Because there are a lot of things that you're doing that are wrong. You see? We do what we want to do, and we find reasons to justify that. If we don't want to do something, we find reasons to justify that. There's this other clip that I watched of Candace Owens debating with this other guy. I forgot his name. She was saying that she's not against people who don't want to have kids, but when they try to shove it down our throats, that's a problem. Like if you don't want to have kids, don't have kids, but don't walk around talking about it as if, you know, we are bad for having kids, right? If you don't want to have kids, don't have kids. That's cool, but don't talk about it. Don't say anything about it. Don't tell me to not have kids because you do not want to have kids. And the guy said something interesting. He said, "Hey, Candice, you've been saying that women shouldn't be whores, right? Like you're against that. But what you're not realizing is that you are actually telling some women how to live, right? Because these women are not like you, you know. Maybe they want to have like a full human experience. They don't want to like limit themselves. It's who they are, you know. Should they force themselves to be like you just because you feel like you are more right than they are? I mean, morality is subjective, and we are who I then like you know, some people are like Candace Owens, some people are like Kim Kardashian, you know. Should Kim Kardashian be forced to live like Candace Owens just because Candace Owens feels like she's superior? Like, I'm superior, look at how I live my life, you know. I don't go to the clubs, I don't drink, so that means I'm superior. It doesn't mean you're superior. Like, it doesn't mean that at all. You know, people live how they want to live their lives as long as they're not hitting anyone. So you try to show her that she's actually doing the same thing that she's against when she says that it's wrong for women to be whores. She's just that she's not a whore, right? If she was a whore, she wouldn't feel like it's wrong being a whore because she's a whore, but she's not a whore, so she feels like she's superior because she's not a whore. What if the reason why she's not a whore is because maybe maybe she doesn't love sex that much? That can happen, right? Maybe there's a reason why she's not a whore. She doesn't love sex. So if she loves sex very much, she would have been a whore. Like, so she's not a whore because, well, she doesn't want to be a whore. So she tries to make herself look superior to women who are whores. That's the thing. It's double standards. But this guy, I felt like he could have, it's just that he's not an internationalist. But here's what I think he should have said to her. She said that people who are not having children shouldn't be telling people to not have children. That's wrong. He should have said this to her. The reason why she feels like that is wrong is because it's kind of like they're imposing their morality on others, right? But when you make a new person, you're imposing life on them. That's double standards. So she's against people telling her to not have children, but she's not realizing that when she has a child, she's imposing life on that child. Understand how wrong that is. You are imposing life on that child. But you're saying, if someone tells you to not have children, you can still decide to have children. But when you have a child, the child doesn't get to decide not to be born. The child will be born. The child is going to eat what you're going to eat when you're pregnant. If you decide to drink alcohol, the child is going to get drunk. If you decide to do drugs, the child might actually be born with mental problems because of you, or with other health issues. You are imposing everything on that child. So isn't that more wrong than telling people to not have children? Think about it. Double standards. Humans have double standards, and that's one of the biggest problems. We do what we want to do, and we tell ourselves that the things that we want to do are the right things to do. We convince ourselves that the things that we want to do are the right things to do, and the things that we do not want to do are the wrong things to do. And if we do something, it's because we want to do the right thing. Whatever we do, it has to be the right thing. As if we are concerned with doing the right things. Like, I want to do the right things. No, it's not about doing the right things. It's about doing what we want to do. It's about doing what we want to do. It's not about whether something is right or wrong. That is why I find it weird that, people want to control other people. They don't realize, they're like children. When a child wants to control everything, right? Like, they want attention. It's about them. I'm not against that, by the way, but I'm just trying to show you something. So a child will cry because it's about them. If the mother is cooking, the child will cry. It's about me. Pick me up. I don't care. It's kind of like that. It's like it's about me. The world revolves around me. What I think is right is right. What I think is wrong is wrong. That's why we have people who are against the legalization of self-deletion. That should actually tell you a lot about humanity. There are people who are against people having the right to self-deletion. Like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. But why is it wrong? You think it's wrong because you don't want to live in a world where people can just choose that option. You don't want to live in a world like that. It's not wrong at all, but you don't want to live in a world like that. So you have to tell yourself that it is wrong. You see the problem? What is actually wrong is you forcing people to have an experience that they do not want to. That is more wrong. Or let's just say having the option to be deleted is wrong. Let's just say it's wrong. It's not, but let's just say it was wrong, right? Let's say it was wrong. It will be more wrong to force someone to have this experience even if they do not want to. Like, that is what's really evil. You understand? That's evil. To force someone to have an experience that they do not want to have. That is what is really evil. But people will convince themselves that no. People being free enough to make their own choices, that is evil. We want to control them, and that's not evil. That's why I say it's like being a child. Like, some humans are just like children. So it's not easy for me to respect them because of that. Because they don't see that they have double standards. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so some people are against people having the option to be deleted, right? And some people are against that. Because they say that it is wrong. Why is it that if the government, for an example, say that, you remember what happened in 2020? People shouldn't be allowed to go outside. People felt like that was wrong. The government said, no, don't go outside. Like, no, that's wrong, that's wrong. Double standard. They wanted to go outside, so they felt that was wrong. You're not listening. If they didn't want to go outside, this is what's even crazy, right? If humans didn't want to go outside, they will conclude that going outside is wrong. You're not listening. Double fucking standards. How can you respect humanity if we have double standards? Like, it has nothing to do with wanting to do the right thing. It has everything to do with our double standards. It has everything to do with what we want. You see, that's why I was telling y'all that people will do what they want. It has nothing to do with whether what they want is right or wrong. We are selfish like that. It's double standards, man. Like, no, we want to go outside. We want to go outside. So it's wrong. What the government is doing is wrong. Because you want to go outside. If you wanted to be allowed to exit peacefully, you would feel like it is wrong for people to not be allowed to, have that right. Double standards. People will tell themselves that, hey, having children is actually the right thing to do. Creating a new person without their consent is the right thing to do. But then you give them another scenario. Let me give you a simple scenario: slavery. It's kind of like that. I'll show you how it's kind of like that. When white people took us from Africa, there were some black people who actually wanted to be slaves. I want you to understand that. It's not like every black person who ended up being a slave didn't want to be a slave. Some black people wanted to be slaves. Some of them felt like that was good because that's what they wanted. But we've concluded that that wasn't good. Why? Because we know that some of them were taken against their will. Some of them didn't end up enjoying their lives and they were forced to be slaves. We weren't like, but some slaves like being slaves, so that means being a slave is good. You see? Same with having children. Some people who are born actually love the experience, but it doesn't mean that people have consented to being born. No, that's not what it means. We're imposing life on people, hoping that they're going to love it. Some do, some don't. Right? Some do, some don't. But that doesn't mean that it is right because some people love life. It is wrong because we're imposing life on people who didn't ask for it. And what's worse is that if they end up growing up and saying that so what's worse is that if they end up growing up and not loving life, we convince ourselves that they are wrong. We convince ourselves that there's something wrong with them. How can you not love life? They don't even have a choice. We don't realize that the reason why we feel that way is because we have double standards. It's just that is the only reason. We have double standards. We feel like the world should be exactly how we want it to be. Everyone must be happy, right? Everyone must be happy to live the way that we want them to live. Everyone must think the way that we want them to think. If they think differently, no. That's why I was telling you that human beings are like children. Children want the world to revolve around them. You see? You're like, no. If you don't love this, it means there's something wrong with you. And then we mistreat people because we have double standards, and we don't realize that we are mistreating them. Like if a person is tired and they say, "Hey man, I want out," we're like, nah. Actually, we need to restrain you and treat you. Double standards. Because if that is right, I want to show you something. If that is right, then it's also right. That will mean that it's also right to kidnap a person. Let's say I had a cult and I convinced myself and my followers that to save humanity, we must kidnap people one by one and bring them to our cult one by one, and we must force them to agree with us, and we must use whatever method we can use. You see, it's double standards. Everyone will agree that that is wrong, but if a person says, "Hey man, can I have the option to be deleted?" Like, no, that's wrong. This person, what they need is medication and this and that. Like, what if they're just different? They're not like you. They don't think the way that you think, but then you want to force them to be like you. and you convince yourself that that is good. That's why I keep on telling y'all that society itself is a cult, and people don't even realize that it's a cult, because we are forcing people to think a certain way. It's not like I'm free to think the way that I think. I'm not free. No one is. We are supposed to act the way that this cult wants us to act, think the way that this cult wants us to think. If you're really going to be real, if you're really going to be an individual, there's going to be problems. You're going to face the consequences. People are going to start judging you. If you end up becoming super conscious and you don't care about being judged, what's going to happen? It's get to a point where there will be people who will actually try to like physically restrain you, because you just want to be free and live your life the way that you want to live your life. For example, if you live in a country where they say weed is illegal, if they catch you smoking alone in the wild, like it doesn't affect anyone in any negative way, you can get arrested. But you just want to be you. You just want to be yourself. You're not hurting anyone. You're not doing anything that is actually wrong. But because society is a cult, then you can get arrested. There have been so many people who have been arrested for just doing what they want to do. You know, not doing things that actually hurt others, but just them doing their thing and just wanting to be free. Like, no, we don't want you to be free. We want you to live by our rules. If you break our rules, then you're going to get punished. The same way that if you were in a cult, that's what will happen. I've read so many stories about cults. If you break the rules in a cult, you get punished. Cult leaders will punish you. They'll have I remember there's this cult leader that will cut off the fingers of his followers if they break the rules. So it's like that, you know. We put people in prison when they break the rules, even if the rules that they break are not rules that we've come up with because of moral reasons, anything like that. It's just we just want to control them. We just want to control people. You break the rules, you go into prison, they'll punish you. And what happens in prison is messed up. Like, people go through a lot when they get locked up and get raped, and no one cares. Like, that's normal. It's not like if you get raped you can open a case. I mean, I think you can open a case, but I mean, it's so normal that people don't even do that. It's like you just have to try to figure out how to protect yourself, but it's not easy. Like, most people get raped in prison, and if they try to protect themselves, let's just say someone tries to rape you in prison and you really try to protect yourself, you use something and end up unaliving that person, what's going to happen? New charges. You see? How can we say that that is fair? Especially in a world that no one has to be part of, especially in a world that everyone is supposed to be part of. Remember, after you are born, because society is a cult, you have to be part of it. You understand that? We have convinced ourselves that each and every person who's here has to be part of this. If you don't want to be part of it, this is what we've convinced ourselves. It's not true, but it's what we've convinced ourselves. If a person doesn't want to be part of this, it means that there is something wrong with them. If you want to be part of this, and if you love this, it means, dude, you are exactly how a human being should be. But if you don't, something is wrong with you, and we need to fix you. And we do have the right to actually fix you, even if you don't want to be fixed. You see? Double standards. The truth is, people do what they want to do. It's not about right or wrong. It's just that they will convince themselves that it's about right or wrong because they want to feel like they are good people. There are a lot of things that we're doing that are clearly wrong, but we don't care. But sometimes we'll say, hey, I don't want to do something because it's wrong. Like, hey, there are a lot of wrong things that you are doing. So it's not because you don't want to, there's nothing to do with the fact that it is wrong. You just don't want to do it. Or I want to do something because it's right. Hey, there are a lot of things that are right that you're not doing. So yes, it has to do with you wanting to do that thing that you're saying is right to do. It has nothing to do with you wanting to do the right thing. Double standards. That is why there's so much suffering in the world. Double standards, man. We're not honest with ourselves. We're not honest enough to see the truth. We're not honest enough to see the devil in us. See, to become a true devil, you must not be able to see that you are a devil. You want to know why Christians think that their God is good? Because they've convinced themselves that he is. So they don't see the devil in him. So he can do anything. He can get away with anything. If the Bible was true, and I'm really grateful that it's not, but let's just say it was, and the Christian God appeared and decided that, you know what? I'm so angry at humanity. I'm so damn angry at humanity. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna curse all of you. I'm gonna curse all of you right now. I'm gonna make sure that you are in pain 24/7 until you die, all of you. They will still think that that is right. They wouldn't be like, but come on, that's horrible. I mean, if a human did something like that, seems like a snake passed you. If a human did something like that, we would say that they are evil. Double standards. Think about it. If a human, let's say I've actually seen many cases where parents abused, can't even say that, but I've seen many cases where, parents mistreated their children, right? I've seen many cases. You find that maybe their children are not doing certain things and their parents are like, you're not going to eat. You're not going to eat the whole day because you refuse to do what I wanted you to do, or because you didn't live up to my expectation. Maybe you didn't pass the test. They end up getting arrested. But if God does something similar to that, he's good. He's good no matter what. You see, they've already convinced themselves that he's good, so they'll side with him no matter what he does. Like, there's nothing that the Christian God can do that will make Christians go like, but this dude might be evil, yeah? This dude might be a psycho. No, there's nothing that the Christian God can do that will make Christians go like, nah. Double standards. The devil even killed that many people in the Bible, but he's the evil one. You see? Double standards. The story was written from the perspective of someone who supports the Christian God, and they still couldn't make God look good. They still couldn't make God look good. Can you imagine? Have you ever been in this situation where someone comes to you and they believe that they are a victim in a situation, and they talk to you and you realize that they are the ones who are actually wrong? I've been in this situation so many times. Like, they're so unconscious that they don't realize that they are wrong, but they're the ones who are actually wrong. The other person is the real victim in this situation. Like, that happens a lot. The Bible is kind of like that. The person who wrote the Bible is so unconscious to realize the devil in his God. It's like, oh, my God is good. My God is good. No, you just love him. You just want to worship him. That's it. So you don't see how evil he is. See, so it has nothing to do with right or wrong. It's about you and what you want. You want to worship God. You love Christianity. You love going to church. You love singing. You love gospel music. That's all. It has nothing to do with whether God is good or bad. You don't care. You wouldn't care what it does. That's why you don't even care if he's going to send people to hell, because you believe that he's going to send people to hell, but you don't care. You're like, oh, they deserve to go to hell. But the truth is that no one deserves to go to hell. No one deserves that kind of punishment. Even in this realm, we don't put anyone through that. Human beings are supposed to be evil, right? But they never put in, they do. I was defending, I've seen videos of people like what they call mob justice, right? Like people just pouring petrol on someone and just, setting them on fire. Like I've seen that happen. So yeah, but we don't feel that is good. Like most of us don't feel like that is good. When we see that happening, we're like, no, we don't like. It doesn't really matter what the person has done. We kind of like, we just don't want, that to happen. We don't want to see that happen. So you see, people don't care what's right. They don't care what's wrong. They care about what they want and what they do not want. That's it. What do I want to do? What do I not want to do? If I want to do something, I'm going to justify why I want to do it, and it will make sense. If I don't want to do something, well, I'm going to tell you why I don't want to do it, and it will make sense. But really, it boils down to what people want and what they do not want, what people want to believe and what they don't want to believe, what people want the truth to be and what people do not want the truth to be. You see? That's what it really boils down to. That's why Candace Owens wasn't able to realize something very simple, that hey, when you create a child, you're creating a being that isn't consented to being born. So you kind of like imposing your will on someone. Not kinda, actually, like that's really what is happening. But when you tell someone to not have kids, you're not imposing your will on them. You're just telling them what you think, and they still do have the right to like choose to have kids or to not have kids. So it is more wrong to have kids than to tell someone to not have kids, you see? But she didn't realize that because of double standards. People don't realize, they don't realize it when they're being hypocrites. And that sucks. That's why I keep on telling you that human beings are children, because children don't realize it when they are being hypocrites. When they act like the world revolves around them. That's why babies cry a lot, because they feel like the world revolves around them. I need this, I need that. If I don't get what I want, I must cry. Because I want this, you know what I mean? It's double standards. One of my favorite villains is Thanos, because he's one of the few villains that, even if he did have double standards, but he made a lot of sense. But I don't really, like in most cases, he seemed to be like really rational. He didn't seem to have double standards. It's like he saw things as they were. That's why even like when he had to sacrifice his daughter, he didn't feel like he shouldn't do it, because he was already eliminating half of life everywhere. So if he decided that he wasn't going to sacrifice his daughter, that would mean that he has double standards. That would mean that he feels like he would feel like if someone else was doing what he's doing, that person is wrong. You see? Because people have lost their loved ones because of him. And he can't lose his loved ones for his cause. So he wasn't a hypocrite. He decided to sacrifice his daughter, the only person that he loved in the world. That's the only time we saw him crying. But he was so honest with himself. So he did what he wanted to do without having double standards. I'm trying to think like of a situation where Thanos seemed to have double standards, but I can't. He seemed to have been right, and like he seemed to just like being honest, honest with himself when it comes to what he wanted to do. Oh, the only time when Thanos actually seemed to have had double standards, it's just that but they didn't show us when he killed the midgets. You remember when he went to this other planet of this big ass midgets, and he told them to make an X for him or something. Oh, they told him to make that thing that he wears on his hand so that he'll be able to use the stones. So the midget that made that thing, Thanos told him that, hey, make this thing and I'm not gonna kill y'all. And he made that thing and he still killed all of them and left him alive. Like that's a contradiction, because he was eliminating half of life everywhere, so he could have like killed half of the midgets, not almost every midget, and leave one. Like that didn't make sense. That's the only part that didn't make sense. Because other than that, yeah, he was eliminating like half of all life, and that was his intention. And the reason why he was doing that was because he felt like there wasn't enough resources. It wasn't about him. That's why he even destroyed the stones in the end. But people are selfish. It's about them. It's about what they want. It's not about what makes the most sense. Sometimes we do find ourselves in situations where what makes the most sense is for us to do what we don't want to do, but we're like, nap. It's about me. I do exactly what I want to do. If I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it unless I'm forced to do it. Unless, like for an example, let's say you don't want to go to work, but you know that if you don't go to work, you're not going to have money. So you wake up and you go to work. So you go to work because you have to go to work, because you're afraid of not having money, being broke, right? So that's the thing. People do what they want to do or what they feel they have to do because they're afraid of the consequences of not doing, what they do not want to do. That's all. We're selfish. The problem is when we don't see that we're selfish. The problem is when we have double standards. The problem in our society is people who think like Candace Owen, people who think like Jordan Peterson, people who have double standards. They're able to see if there's an injustice only when it saves them. But if it doesn't save them, then they don't see that there's an injustice. You see the problem? That's why you can't trust. That's why I said don't trust privileged people. Because humans are selfish. Human beings are selfish. They see the world in a way that will benefit them. We're not fair. If someone like Elon says people must be having children, he sees the world in a way that benefits him. Like if there were more people, here's how I would benefit as Elon Musk. He doesn't see life from the perspective of some kid born in a really poor family, was raised by parents who was abusive. He wouldn't even choose that. And you find that this child doesn't even have like potential to be anything. The child is average and they're not being raised right. Like he wouldn't choose to be that child. He guarantee you Elon wouldn't choose to be that child, because he doesn't even understand that it's a privilege for him to have the kind of brain that he has. Not everyone has his brain. So can you imagine if he had to be born in a really poor family where the parents didn't know what they were doing, they were not treating him right, and he didn't have that kind of brain. So, he will end up being nothing. He will just suffer. Like, he wouldn't choose that. But he still feels like it is right for people who don't even have anything to be procreating. Because he's looking at how that will benefit him. You see? He's looking at how that will benefit him. I remember I gave you all this example when it comes to the legalization of self-deletion. I gave you this example that there's this other lady in Canada that was against MAID. She was against MAID until she saw her own grandfather get really, really sick. Like really, really sick, and she had to take care of him until he died. And then she realized that, nah. And she changed her mind. Now she supports MAID. You see how selfish people are? Like, you can't trust people, man. So because she didn't have that experience, she felt like MAID was evil. But after having the experience, so you can't trust people. Like, these creatures, you can't trust them, and they're selfish. They're not to be trusted. We feel like the world revolves around us. It's all about us. It's not about other people. It's about me. I don't care what other people want. I don't care how other people want to live their lives. If I convince myself that the way that other people live their lives is wrong, then I would want to stop them from living their lives the way that they want to live their lives, because I have convinced myself that the way that they live their lives is wrong. That's why I don't like religion. The most evil people in the world are people who are religious, because they've convinced themselves that they are good. They can literally get away with anything, believing that they are good. That's why there's been so many things that have been done in the name of religion in the past. There are still so many things that are being done now in the name of religion, in the name of God. They don't realize that the reason why they believe in their gods is because they love their God. That can happen. You just love your God, so you believe in him, and you convince yourself that he's right, but you don't believe in him because he's right. You believe in him because you love him. That happens a lot. Like, there's people who support you because they love you, not because they think you're right, but just because they love you. That happens. That is why politicians like to wear suits, they like being charismatic. They want to be loved. They want to win our hearts. Doesn't really matter what they're saying. Doesn't really matter what their intentions are. They just want to win our hearts. They know that if they win our hearts, we'll vote for them even if they don't know what the heck they're doing. If you love someone, it doesn't really matter if they're right or wrong. You still love them. That's why parents, even when their kids are wrong, they side with them. They protect them. Parents will protect their, especially mothers. They will protect their children even if their children are wrong. That's because of love. Double standards. You find that the same woman that will protect a kid for doing something that's wrong would actually be the first to condemn another kid for doing the same thing. You know that happens a lot, right? Let's say your kid steals, and people want to maybe punish their kid. You protect your kid, right? But if another kid does the same thing, you probably will be the first to want that kid to be punished, like you to even punish the kid, because it's not your kid. Double fucking standards. So how can you respect humans if they are like that? Is it? Human beings are just big babies that's still controlled by their emotions, just like children. They're just big. They're just bigger, and they have more responsibilities than children, but they're still children. It's not like they grow. Remember, we're not even supposed to grow. We're supposed to be, we're just supposed to work. You know, we're needed for our energy. If we had to evolve and grow and reach high levels of consciousness, we wouldn't be that useful, because we would be questioning everything. We wouldn't want to do certain things. I mean, the more conscious you become, the harder it will be for you to want to do most of the things that are being done here. So you'll be like, no, I don't want to do these things. The people who are in power don't want that. They want you to comply. They want you to do what they say you must do, whether you want to do these things or not. You know, they've normalized that. Like, slavery is so normalized that if you don't want to comply, you are a bad person. It's double standards, man. That's why I feel like society is a joke. Remember this other scene in, I think in the movie Dark Knight Rises, where Joker was talking to Batman. You know, I was telling him that society is a joke, their moral, their code is a joke, dropped at the first sign of trouble. He wanted to prove to him that human beings, you know, just mix things up. But when the chips are down, you see that they don't care about morality. So it has a lot to do with how they feel. It has a lot to do with survival than it has to do with truth. Like, people don't care about the truth. What they care about is survival. They want to survive and get their needs met and be happy, you know. That's all. That's what at the center of every decision that we make. It's we would want to suffer less, you know. It's not about us being good people. People are not good, and they don't even want to be good. So when it seems like people are doing something for a good reason and they're good people because of that, it's not true. It has to do with what they want. It has to do with what they prefer, not what is actually true. Find that someone is fighting for black people. I'm fighting for black people. It's like, no, they have an agenda. Someone is fighting for women, this and that. What people care about is having their desires met. They want the world to be perfect for them. If they hate some people, they don't want these people to be able to thrive. That is why we gossip. I mean, I don't gossip, but people gossip about other people that they live with because they hate them. They don't want those people to thrive. They hate them. Like, I don't want to live in a world where these kind of people exist. So I must try to destroy them. Like, that's the whole thing. It's about destroying them. Like, I must destroy their reputation. So you must be able to see the devil in you if you really want to be a good person, if that is possible. But even that is not possible. Once you become a human, you automatically become evil because you would have to do evil things in order to survive. It's inevitable. That's why I said in the beginning that we have double standards because we must have double standards. Like, double standards are necessary for our survival. If we were truly going to be honest with ourselves, we wouldn't survive. Because there are some things that are evil that we will need to do in order to survive. You see the problem? So we have to convince ourselves that these evil things that we do ain't evil, even though they are evil. Just like creating new humans, we have to convince ourselves that no, that's not evil, but it is, because we are imposing life on someone without their consent. So you can't say that is not, but it will be good to say, hey, it is evil, it is selfish. Anything that's selfish is evil. So yes, it is selfish. However, there's no other way. We want humanity to continue to exist, or we want to have children. So there's no other way. We're going to have children, even though there's so much suffering in the world, even though there are some people who are going to be at a disadvantage. Right? Not everyone is going to be happy. We are totally aware of that, but it's the only way. There's no solution. We would have liked it if each and every person born actually enjoyed the experience. We would have liked that, but it's not possible. So we're going to still do something that is wrong, because the only way for us to get what we want is by doing something that is wrong. That would be good. Like, if we admitted that as a collective, that would be good, because that would mean that we would make the experience make sense. Right? Like, we would understand that, hey man, people didn't ask to be here. People don't have to like being here. You know, people don't have to be happy. People don't have to pretend as if this makes sense to them. And we'll try to find the middle ground, right? Rather than imposing our will on others. Like, no, this is a good experience. You're not happy? No. There's something wrong with you. You need treatment. You need to change your perspective. You need to view life the way that I view life. Like, no, we're not the same. You know, and it has a lot to do with level of consciousness, like people's levels of consciousness more than anything. You might find that you're so damn conscious that you just can't love this. That happens. I've seen that a lot. Like a person is just so damn conscious that they just can't love doing certain things that they used to do when they were unconscious. Like there are movies that I used to love that I do not love anymore. I don't even love movies anymore. Like there's just few movies that I love, and movies that are so damn well written. But back when I was unconscious, I loved all kinds of movies. But now I don't love this kind of movies. And it has to do with my level of consciousness. You can't say, well, it's just your perspective. Yes, it's my perspective. My perspective cannot be changed because it's a much higher perspective. I cannot dumb down, you see? It's like if you listen to a whack rap song and you're unconscious and you love it. I'm gonna give you this example. I don't think this song is whack, but I'm just gonna give you an example. Like I hated this Rihanna song. I think Rihanna is super talented. I hated this song. This kwe song. I thought it was childish, man. It's like, why is everyone singing this shit? Like that's damn annoying. My ex-girlfriend used to sing that song a lot. I hated that song, man. It's like, what? Like out of nowhere, she'd be like, what? I felt like only children should love that song, but hey. But I think it's a dope song. I just didn't like it, you know. Just like I was telling you that as people we have double standards. So because I didn't love it, I felt like everyone shouldn't love it. It's double standards, right? At least I'm able to see when I have double standards. But a lot of people don't see when they have double standards, and that's the problem. So at least I'm able to catch myself when I'm having double standards, and that's important. But I'm too damn conscious to love songs like that. Maybe it's not even like, you know, I love songs. Like I love songs. Let me give you an example of a song that I actually like. I told y'all guys that my favorite rapper is King Loss. Like he has a lot of. Oh, let me give you this example. There's this song called Poet Laureate 2 by Cannibus. It's insane. He had a strong mind. He used to philosophize about rhymes when he was pruning his bonsai. He claimed that he invented the greatest rhyme of all time, but would never take it out of his archives. He wrote 2 songs per day. He was constantly experimenting with his wordplay. In his youth, he did a report on the Digital Sky Survey. Got an A, but he got an F, but he deserved an A. I followed his career from the first day. It seems that lack of support contributed to his innate ways. I've seen him put 24-hour work days with the Fed paid, undeterred by the word shame. Public humiliation was the worst pain. He was spinning out of control like a class 5 hurricane. He said he wouldn't want another MC to suffer the same, especially when there's nothing to gain. He was the illest alive, but nobody will face it. He spat till his tongue was too touched to taste. Like that. I love those kind of songs, you know, because I see the talent. It's raw, it's crazy, but I'm not, like I said, I don't think Rihanna is not talented, but I just think the song is too simple. So I want something complex, you know. There's the kind of person that I am. Even the movies that I like, it has to be movies that are like complex, movies that are not easy to understand, full of symbolism. Those are the kind of movies. So it has to do with how complex my mind is. So I can't like basic things. So if I say I don't like the experience, maybe it's just too damn basic, maybe it's just too damn empty. It's no longer interesting to me. I've outgrown a lot of things. That does happen. You see? Thank you all, guys.